Okay. Morning, Rabbi Say. Let's get started. We have a little bit to learn today. Okay, so what we want to focus on, what we'd like to focus on today is the specific hagdaras of what's gruma and what's garmi. We already learned last week. That there was or whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, that the Gemara says in Hakoinis, the first daf, if you were ever zocheh to have a son in 6th grade or 7th grade, maybe you chazard with your son Parak Hakoinis. And over there it says, in many cases, that there's something called gruma. Gruma is indirect damage. And by indirect damage, you're potter, and we discussed that, however, you are chayiv, lotzei sidei shemayim. What exactly does that mean? The Gemara gives 4 examples. Let's go with the example for now. The easiest example to relate to would be the example of your pirate's geder b'fnei behemas chaveroi. So your friend has animals that are all locked up very nicely in their pen, and you come in and open the door, and the animals leave, and you are potter for that. Now, you did cause them damage, you did cause them a loss, but you're potter in this world. You may be chayiv in the next world, but you're potter in this world. What happens to someone that's potter in this world and chayiv in the next? I don't know. But I don't know that any of us want to be in that situation. And specifically, we discussed last week the Agdara, if anybody could actually be mechayiv you or not. That was a separate issue, not to be dealt with right now. But that's all under the category of gruma, and that's open gemaras that you're potter.
What's their leniency for Olam Hazeh?
No, it means because the bezdin, it's not enforceable in bezdin. It's not considered damage that the bezdin can enforce. That's the point, right? So, however, lamaisa, you're guilty a little bit. You did cause him a damage. You want to, what's it called? Rectify what you did. You should pay him, but it's not enforceable in bezdin. It's indirect. We can't enforce it. Okay, so that's called you right. So let's give an example. Let's say, a very simple example. You went away for the summer. Someone calls you up and says, "Hey, can my brother-in-law's cousin who's here for their nephew's upsharon, can they stay in your house for overnight? Because, I need a place for them to stay." Okay, why? Yeah, sure, no problem for you and your brother-in-law's cousin. No problem, anything. So you tell them, here's the combination, here's the lock, the door's locked. I kept it locked for the summer. And, you could go in. So they go in, they stay in your house. They leave you a beautiful card with some like lucite, challah tray or something, and as a gift for being so gracious. And fine, you come back in a week later after your summer vacation, and your house is ransacked. Like, what happened? The kids when we left the house, we forgot to lock it. We forgot to lock the door when we left. I'm sorry. But, they took my silver. It was worth $1,000. Yeah, so, I'm sorry, but it's gruma, and I don't have to pay you. So that's the case. That's the Gemara saying that it's a gruma. They didn't steal the silver from your house. They left your house unlocked. And therefore, someone came and stole. That's the case of the Gemara, you're potter. They don't have to pay. If they would steal, they have to pay. But it's too indirect to be mechayiv to pay. Now, we spoke out another case that seems to be that you are chayiv to pay, even though it's indirect. And that was a case in the Gemara, in Daf Tzadi Ches in Bava Kama, that it was a soyerev shtaroisav shel chaveroi, that if you've done dina de garmi, you're chayiv. What is soyerev shtaroisav shel chaveroi? Soyerev shtaroisav shel chaver means you took the person had a loan document, which was to memorialize a loan, a promissory note, and you went ahead and burnt that document. Now he cannot collect his debt. Now, obviously, technically speaking, the borrower still owes the lender the money, but there's no way the lender can collect. So essentially, the lender now is out that money. But you didn't steal it from him. You made it impossible for him to collect his money. you're goyim him a loss, and there the Gemara says you are chayiv. There the Gemara says you are chayiv. That's considered more direct. Even though you didn't steal his money, but that's considered more direct. That's the Gemara Tzadi Chasar Shtaris of Shachavera. We discussed what happens. One other case, which the Gemara seems to say is called garmi.
In that case with the borrower, let's say having given the borrower feels bad, he wants to hang the coat. Then I'm afraid you didn't really damage him.
No, well, then you're not chayiv, right? Then you don't have to pay.
Already, let's say.
Oh, if he paid, I don't know the din in that case. I'm assuming that if you paid, you bought the loan. So Mamela, he would have to pay you back. You find similar thing like that by kefil, right? The Gemara says that if you pay, if the shemerchinam paid, then you find the ganav, then the kefil goes to the person who paid, right? And the Gemara smash, it's like he was kind of the animal. When you pay the obligation, you buy the rights to whatever comes from that chiyuv. The Gemara discusses one more case of garmi. The Gemara discusses a case where there's let's just, for the purposes of, we are being recorded and everything, so let's just keep it as the following. In the olden days, not nowadays of course, but in the olden days, the government was very corrupt. And therefore the government would sometimes go after people randomly and just want to get their money. And they would just go after people and try to get their money. So they come over to you and they say, sir, show me, I need some money. Show me anybody in the community that you could get money from. And I want to go collect money from somebody. I mean, we need some extra cash in the treasury. And what? so wait, I need some extra cash in the treasury. Please go and find me somebody that will send the money. You go ahead into this government official, and you point out, go get money from him, and the government official goes and gets the money from him. That's, besides that, it's called a meiser and a lot of other bad stuff. But you're chayiv al tzedina de garmi. The person who showed the meiser the money is chayiv, has to pay, and it's chayiv midina de garmi. So we have two cases that we know you're chayiv, we have a couple cases you're potter. And we said that there's an in-between case that the Rishonim argue. And that was the case where Reuven throws Shimon's glass kli off of the ledge, and it wasn't going to break. Why wouldn't it have broken? Because there was a pillow underneath. There was a cushion underneath. And Levi comes ahead and pulls away the cushion. And now Reuven, who thought he was playing a nice shtick on Shimon, but he was going to be home scot-free because it really wasn't going to break. Just Shimon was panicking. What'd you do? Why'd you throw my thing off the thing? And he's like, ha, look, there's a cushion there. So nothing happened. In the meanwhile, Levi goes ahead and pulls away the cushion. Now Shimon Tak is annoyed because his kli got broken. Does Reuven doesn't have to pay, because Reuven, when he threw it off the cliff, there was a cushion. But does Levi, who pulled away the cushion, does Levi have to pay? And the Gemara says Levi does not have to pay. But the machlokes in the Rishonim, two Terutim and Tosfos is why is Rava saying that you're potter from paying? Is the reason Rava says you're potter because it's not garmi, it's gruma, it's indirect. Why would it be considered indirect? Because you didn't touch the kli. It's indirect. Or, excuse me, is it called garmi? It's a higher level of indirect damage that you are chayiv to pay, and therefore the only reason Rava says you're potter is Rava happens to hold garmi is potter. This is machlokes Rishonim. So there's about 5 mahalchim in the Rishonim to explain the differences. What is the difference between sometimes you're chayiv? It's all indirect. I get it. If you take a hammer and you smash someone's windshield, that's direct. Fine, I get that. And I get that if you left the door open, that's potter, that's indirect. You didn't do anything, really. You left the door open and animals left. But how do we know what's this higher level, that it's not mamish direct, but it's close enough that you're chayiv, garmi, dina de garmi. So, what's pshat? So there's one gishmak pshat, is an amazing diuk in Rashi. And from this diuk in Rashi comes a few other diukim in Rashi throughout Shas. It actually doesn't say Beferish, but Rashi's shita seems to be that there is no difference between garmi and grama. It's all the same. Some people hold your chayiv, some people hold your potter. Look at this diuk. It's just, I love the diuk. It's just an unbelievable diuk. When you learn how to learn, you can teach someone this diuk. It's unbelievable. At page 2, in the Gemara. The Gemara says, Tanya, I'm really speaking this out for the purpose of the diuk more than anything else, because we don't go with Rashi la halacha, but it's just a geshmak diuk. It says, Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua says, Arba Dvarim. In the bottom of the page, there are 4 things that if you do them, you're patak. Why? Because it's a gruma. Elu hein, and the first case was like we spoke out. So all these things, you're chayiv b'dinei adam, upater b'dinei adam, chayiv b'dinei shemayim. In shemayim you're chayiv, down here your patak is indirect. Look at Rashi, b'dinei adam. Says Rashi, kasavar gruma b'nizak in pater. So the achroinim are medayik Rashi. Kasavar, he holds gruma b'nizik in pater. There's nobody in Shas that doesn't hold that. What do you mean he holds? That's assumed in Shas to be true. You will not find that opinion in Shas that holds that groma is chayiv. So what's Rashi saying? This opinion, kasavar. He should have said, to have a groma. It is a groma. Why did he say he holds groma's pater? So they wanted me to die from here. The Rashi holds that the opinion in Shas that holds garmi is chayiv would also hold groma's chayiv. So he holds groma's pater, but there is a shita that holds groma's chayiv because garmi and groma is the same thing. And therefore the Manda Omer and Rameir in Shas who holds garmi is chayiv would argue on this din also. So that means it's an amazing deal. I love that deal. Kasavar, he holds, but not everyone holds like that. Must be that who argues? Must be that there's no difference between garmi and groma, and there's one sheet. So this is Rashi shita that basically you're chayiv. We would paskin garmi is chayiv, so we would paskin that every indirect damage is chayiv. That would be shitas Rashi. So, but to be perfectly honest, this shita Rashi is not mentioned anywhere in Shulchan Aruch. The Shach mentions it like derech agav, but it's not brought down. We don't hold like that. But it's a geshmak diuk just to bring it out. There's also a Rambam shita that we're not going to get to right now, today's shir. So we said there's 5 opinions, there's Rashi and the Rambam. We're going to focus on the other 3 right now. And the 3 are really 2. So we knocked it down from 5, we scared you off at 5, we're going to focus on 2 shitas. Okay? One shita is that there's a really concrete difference between garmi and grama. Garmi is actually more direct. It is more direct than grama. And the 2, I guess, qualifications that are required for garmi, more or less, which we spoke out in the rush, are and the question is, do you need both? Is it one? That's why it's 2 opinions. They both say one of them, but in the end, most shitas hold you need both. So that's why it's 2, but it's really 1. One of them is it has to be called bari hazeka. Bari hazeka means that what you did has to be vadai caused the loss. It's for sure going to happen. There's the Ramban and the Dina de Garmi and other Rishonim has to vadai cause the loss. So let's take an example according to that. When you open the door for the animal, it's not vadai going to lose, because the animal could decide to stay in the pen whether the door's open or not. It's not for sure going to cause a loss. Something else has to happen in order for the loss to take place. Okay? But the assumption is if you burn someone's shtar, aside from your case, if you burn someone's shtar, he just lost his right to demand in the court. So he has to rely, maybe the guy will pay, maybe not. But basically he lost his right to bear the loan. So it's vadai that you caused him a loss. It's bari azeka. Or in the case of, okay, it's bari azeka. What was the other case of garmi that we mentioned? Oh, when you show the tax collector the money. He came to you and said, I need money. The first person you show me, I'm going to go collect. So it's considered mikal kalye, the Gemara says. It's vada that he's going to collect it. He's not being remorseful. He's not doing tshuva, this guy, between the time that you told him and the time that he's hungry for the money. You show him the money, he's going to get it. So, and as a matter of fact, okay? However, according to that interpretation, if you would slip the cushion from underneath the falling kli, it would also be chayiv al garmi because it's vada going to break now. So maybe the Rishonim that say it's garmi would hold like that, but what do the Rishonim that say it's not garmi? What do they hold? They hold you need another knech, and the knech is that the hezek, the maisa that you did, has to be in the thing that ended up getting damaged. Otherwise, it's always considered indirect. In other words, you have to have directly interacted with whatever it is that got damaged in the end. So when you show the tax collector the money and say, there it is, so that's called an interaction with the money. Okay? But you have to interact with the money directly. So you take a hammer and break someone's window, you interacted with the window. So you have to, at some level, interact with whatever got damaged. When you pull the pillow away, that's not called a mice in the guf hadavar nizuk. It's not called that you interacted with the thing which ended up getting damaged. So by definition, it's called indirect. It's automatically considered indirect, even if it's bari azeka. Okay? So let's try to show you inside in the Rishonim, so you don't have to take my word for it, where the Rishonim say this. This is brought down in the Rosh. It's really okay. The Rosh is on page 11 in the booklet, and the Rosh, excuse me, where there's a little bit of an arrow on the side, and there's a bracket there in the Rosh. He says, "Vehecha dehu ba'atzmai oisa hezek l'maman chaveroi, ubari hezeka." Bari hezeka means it's for sure going to happen. Hu anikra dina de garmi. Bari hezeka, it's for sure going to happen. It's called dina de garmi. And then if you look at the last line of the Rosh, so I'll just show you. It says, "Serve star oy Michael hu ba'atzmei mazik l'maman chaver." It's for sure going to happen. V'chein maradino l'shulchani de b'masha oimelo shu toiv u'mazika v'chein da'achvuye achvei. This is the case that we discussed. Shehera l'oive kechavim maman chaveroi. You showed the guy where the money is. Ubari hazeka ki'ilu nosnoi l'chivya ha'mechamer. It's like you gave it to a hungry snake. The akshar rachmana l'chivya mechamer devadei ein merachman alav. There's no chance he's going to be merachim. Ve'ein l'cha ma'isa gadol mizeh. There's nothing greater than that. V'chein is yayish lo'gadra. Another case of garmi is if you learn Baba Basra or Baba Kami, you'll have run across this case, is that if you have a you have a vineyard and your friend has a wheat field. Now, if I have a vineyard and he has a wheat field, I'm not allowed to let my vineyard grow into his wheat field because it's going to make it climb. If it makes it climb, I just made his things also prohibited. He can't benefit from it at all. So, kolzman that there's a fence, both fields are mutter. But if the fence is broken, and I demonstrate a willingness to let it go, it becomes climb. So the Gemara says that once the fence goes down, if you ask your friend to put it up and he says, no, I'm going to leave it like this, then he's chayiv. It's indirect. It's not called indirect. It's vada going to grow there. And therefore, it's considered that he the Ramban says it's like he put the vineyard on his friends because it's a very lamdish thing. The etzem yirush is what makes the climb. That's what he says over there. Anyway, but the point is that that's called bari azeka. Those are the cases he says. Oh, you know another case of garmi is if you're a dayan and you paskin wrong, and because you paskin wrong, the person who's innocent paid. And now he lost money, he can't get it back. So he has a claim against the dayan in certain cases that the dayan paskin wrong, that would be chayiv al dina de garmi. So the Ramban said, the Rosh says it's the same thing, because he's for sure going to pay it. Once the judgment is given, he has to pay it. So you caused the loss directly. Okay? Now, if you look at the last case, the very last word on the page, on page 11, the Rosh adds another point. V'oid yesh l'chalik heicha de b'shas ha'maisa nasa ha'hezrik nikra dina de garmi. It has to happen right away also. Okay, and he adds a few cases about that. So the Rosh gives a couple of these distinctions. It has to be more direct, etc. Now, if you look on page 10, which is the Tosfos and Baba Basra, V'chilik Rabbeinu Yitzchak. It's the first wide line of the Tosfos. in Baba Basra, Chav Beis. Tosfos says over there, V'chiluk ben Yitzchak Loshen Acher. The dina de garmi chayiv hainu she'oisehu atzmai hezek l'mamon chaveroi. That he himself interacted with the mamon chaveroi. V'oid chilek the dina de garmi chayiv hainu mishas maisa sheba hezek. Okay. Fine. Now, this is the shita of the Rishonim, the Rosh, Tosfos, and Kipshuta the Tur, and Pashat Pshat, the Mechaber also. Fine. Comes the Ritzbah in Tosfos, which is going to end up being the shita of the Shach. And the Ritzbah says that there's one case in the Gemara that none of your explanations is going to explain. The case is like this. You told your friend, Tier es atame. Tier es atame. Means there's something that was tame. There was food that was tame. Okay? So imagine the eggs over here are tame. I go ahead and tell you the eggs are tar. Oh, great. So you go ahead and bring all your bagels from home, like you worked really hard on, and they're tar, and you kept them tar, you didn't let your kids anywhere near them, and all the shruts and everything, and you kept all your bagels really tar. Now you pack in all this eggs and cream cheese, and then you find out that the eggs and the cream cheese are all tummy. And now, because of me, I made all your tar bagels tummy. So the Gemara says that the guy that told you that it's tar is chayiv to pay for the bagels. So it says the Ritzbah, you didn't interact with the bagels, and it's not vaday because you need something else to happen. Just because I told you it's tar, how am I supposed to know that you're going to go ahead and put it on your bagel? So the Ritzbah, basically, I don't have an answer to that question, but you have to finagle it with the other pshatim. But the Ritzbah basically says, you didn't answer this question. You can come and make all your chilukim. This case remains unanswered. V'alakol kosha tir asatame u'bal bais atzma irvan in peroisav. V'amay chayv du atzma in oisa hezek b'mamon chaver v'gam b'oisa shosh shemitar in ba hezek. None of your explanations really explain that case. So the Tzvi comes along and says, like this, nah, let's not get so fancy. And really, gruma and garmi is the same thing. But the reason Chazal were mechayiv some cases and not others is because some cases are more shchiach than others. Something that Chazal were worried that everyone here is going to walk out of this room and be like, hey, gruma's potter. So therefore, I'm basically, as long as I don't take a hammer and break my friend's windshield, I'm off the hook. So I have a lot more leeway to go ahead and be not so careful with my friend's stuff. I don't have to be so careful anymore. I can give him bad advice, and he'll lose money because of me, but I don't care, it's gruma. The guy will say, look, I have a lot of money at stake. You're giving me advice to invest over here. Are you sure? Yeah. If he makes money, he's going to be happy. He'll give me a nice gift. If he doesn't make money, I'm potter anyway. It's gruma. So what's the big deal? So all these cases, right? I'm annoyed at my friend. I'm going to go burn his star. And what's going to happen? Nothing, because I'm gruma. So Chazal were afraid that if we let gruma off the hook completely, people are going to start doing grumas right and left, even though it's also obviously to do it. But people are going to do grumas. And because they're going to do that, Chazal implemented that the more normal cases, a case that is shchiach to take place, Chazal said, is chayiv, and they called that garmi. But it's not really different in quality of indirectness, if that's a word. It's the same indirect. But the point is that some cases Chazal felt are severe enough that we're going to mechayiv you. And some cases Chazal felt are not severe enough and we left you off the hook. Right. Right, but that is what garmi means. Garmi means that the cases that Chazal felt are needed to implement some sort of takana. So according to the Ritzbah, the whole garmi is a knas. It's like a fine. It's like what a punitive. It's just we don't want you to do that, so we implemented a new obligation to pay. But really, you're off the hook like gruma. Okay, so this is a major machlokes in the Rishonim. Is garmi qualitatively different than gruma? The Rishonim, that's why I said it's really 5 shitas, but it really boils down. If we rock out Rashi and the Rambam, we really come out to 3, which is really 2. One sheet is the Rosh and the Re. They all say there's a qualitative difference between garma and garmi. What exactly is it? Is it bar yazeka? Is it that you interacted with the thing directly? Is it that it happens at the time directly? And you probably need all three conditions to be mechayev. So it has to be like a real direct, someone had a shiloh. What if you send a virus to someone's computer in an email, and it only obviously affects the computer when the person opens the email?
Unknowing.
What?
You sent it unknowing.
Let's say knowingly.
Knowing.
Yeah. And now, what they have to, in order to get the virus to take over the computer or whatever, to affect the computer, the person has to open the email. So is that gruma or garmi? And now he did it, and he lost a lot of stuff. It's going to cost him a lot of money to fix the problem. Is that gruma or garmi? It's an interesting shaila because he has to go and do something. So is it bar yazeka? Is it not bar yazeka? Is it for sure going to happen? Not going to for sure going to happen. Is it? What did you interact? You did interact directly.
If he opens it up, in other words, you don't know if he's going to open it up. So
I don't
that's
know.
not bar.
Right. Right. But you definitely interacted with the thing directly, and it happens at the time, or immediately upon when he. So I think the person you need all three conditions. It's not enough to have one condition. So it could be your potter in that case, according to these Rishonim. Now, the Shach says, but according to the Ritzbah, it's a knas. So I don't know, you need someone big to tell you that what would Chazal, if Chazal were around nowadays, would they have made a knas for this case? Itmar, has shalech virus, computer, there's no Gemara about it, right? So how would you know? It's like you need a major shikol adas to know if this is something that Chazal would have made a knas on or would not have made a knas on. There's no way to really know that. You have to have someone that really is familiar with every single case and really be sharas libai to make a medam and milsa or milsa. So, okay. How do we paskin? So we definitely paskin garmi as chayiv, but why? So, if we look over there in Shin Pei Vav, which is on page 13, so it says like this: Kaima lon kirebi Meir. We paskin like Rebbe Meir. Now, if you notice, page 14 and 15 is all the shach and the sma. Page 16 and 17 is all the shach and the sma. The shach is going through every single case that we just went through. The doin dina de garmi, lefikach, doichef matzber shachaver ad shiard leyam chayiv av bishlo higbiyoi. If you push a coin into the yam, you're chayiv. Av bishlo higbiyoi v'chein apoiches matzber shachaver v'hever tzurasar chayiv av bishlo chasroi. If you're moichel a star, all these cases you're chayiv. Why are you chayiv? So the Shach brings down that there's a machlokes between the Mechaber and the Ramah, and this comes from the Ramban. The Shach brings down that the Ramban's shita is that you're chayiv because it's bari azeka. You for sure caused the damage, and that's the main reason you're chayiv. The Shach himself goes at great lengths to prove that it's just a knas ba'almu. It's a fine. He goes with the other shita. It's a fine. He says a very simple nafkamina, and we could speak out more nafkaminas. But the simple nafkamina he discusses is, what happens if a guy went ahead and burnt a star for of his friend, served star, and then he dies. So now the guy, the lender, wants to come and collect the debt. We paskin dina de garmi is chayiv, so he's allowed to come and collect the debt. Can he collect the debt against the estate? So, the Ramban says, the Shulchan Aruch paskins in Simon Samach Vav that you could. But I hold the Shach says you can't. What would be the Shaila? The Shaila is this Shaila. That according to the Ramban, according to the Shita that it's a real Chiyuv moment, it's Hezek, it's damage. So, now you're Chayiv to pay. If you're Chayiv to pay, then even the estate has to pay it. Because it's a real obligation against the damager. But if it's just a knas, So they just constant the person who did it. They never constant his estate. And his estate would not have to pay it. Even Bedina de Garmi. No, because Dina de Garmi is that's what we're saying. The Shach is paskening like the Ritzbah. That really there's no difference in gruma and garmi. There's gruma and garmi, and they're both potter really. Garmi are those things that Chazal instituted that you should be chayiv to pay because of a kanas. So it's a kanas, so the estate doesn't have to pay it. Now the father's in Shemayim already, so probably Medina, whatever he had to pay, it's been collected already. So it could be anyway. He's paid up. But the point is that this would be a major nafkamina if you have to pay, and same thing. He's medayik about Amad Bedin or not Amad Bedin, whatever it is. So basically, it's not easy to go through the whole entire arichos of the shach, but let's just speak out one place what they argue. He says like this: the Ramban. The Ramban has a diak in the Gemara. The Gemara says, Rameir did da'in dina de garmi. Says the Ramban, dina de garmi ktani, v'loi knasa de garmi. It says dina. It's a dina de garmi. It's a din of garmi. It's a din. You're chayiv to pay. That's the Ramban's diak. So the Shach takes the diak and says just the opposite. Why do you have to be so marach? I should have just said Rameir is chayiv. He's doing dina de garmi. He made up. He's going to be done in Bezdin a din of garmi, but it's not a real chiv. Otherwise, he just said Rameir whole savar chayiv. So the same words, the Ramban and the Shach argue how to touch the words of the Gemara. The Rameir says the Rameir he did doing dina de garmi. The Ramban says dina de garmi v'loy knasa de garmi, and the Shach argues and says no. If that's what it meant, then it should have just said Rameir Chayiv. I'll show you inside where he says that. It's Gishmak Aloshin. So what comes out is that if you look on page 16, it's on page 16, and it's the fourth line of this shach of the wide lines. Umashakasav Ramban. It's the middle of the fifth line. It's the fifth line of the wide lines there. The Shach says, Umashakasav Ramban ubala trumis. The dina de garmi mikri v'loy knasa de garmi. It's called dina de garmi. It's not called knasa de garmi. Ein zeh diktuk. I don't think that's meduik like that. V'adrabah midarmina b'chol dochti Rameir doin dina de garmi. Oiman de doin dina garmi. It's Rameir that holds of dina de garmi. V'loy min Rameir soiver. Goyim lehezek chayiv or kalishna, alma deloy mechayiv mamish ela doin. He personally makes the din dina de garmi lechayiv midirabanan. Gam hashakasav Ramban the isal kedaitach knasahu masar umeis loy niknas b'nava acharav. His estate shouldn't have to pay. So he says lo yoratil sev daita. I don't know what the Ramban's kasha is. Eina chanami iknasu lo konsum noyacharav. You're right. His estate doesn't have to pay. So that's what the Ramban says. That's what the Shach says. Oh, very interesting nafkamina also. The question is, what happens if you're forced to do a dina de garmi? Let's say someone forces you to burn someone else's shtar. Right? You come to, whatever it is. Someone comes to you and says, listen, you're in trouble. You have to burn some, or let's say different oines. You didn't realize what was happening. You lit a match, and you didn't know what was going on, and you ended up burning someone's shtar. So says the Shach, according to the Ramban, you should be chayiv because it's called hezek, and we already learned last man in adam mod loilam. They chayiv on hezekim even be'oines. But if it's a kanas, it's only if you wanted to do it. You were trying to be mazikim. If it was bonus, you wouldn't be chayiv. This is another nafkamina, he says. So al kaponim, we have these two shitas in the achronim, in the rishonim and the achronim, The Shach holds it's D'Rabbanan. The whole din of the garmi is D'Rabbanan. Really, midiraisa, anything short of taking a hammer and breaking a guy's window is not called damage. It's just not called damaging. It's indirect and it's not called damage. But Chazal made specific cases of a knas according to the Shach. According to the Ramban, it's a chiyuv deiraisa. According to the Ramban, it's a chiyuv deiraisa, and it's a different category. And the reason is because it's bar yazeka, and you have to interact directly with the money. Okay. Now, like I said before, we have to get into halacha l'maisa, because halacha l'maisa, many of the claims that are made are all garmi or gruma, right? Because 99% of stuff that happens is all of the what's it called? The indirect damages, the consequential damages, right? Like everyone, there was this a camp that closed down, so everyone's like, well, I sent the money. They should send it back. Okay, whether they should send it back or not, what's one child? Fine, send back the money. Okay, well, I flew up because it was camp. I flew up to camp, and I booked tickets. Now I have to book tickets back. And because, so now I have to cancel those tickets, make new tickets. I had to find a hotel, rent a new car, and I want all that money back. All that money is total gruma, right? So people right away jump to grumas. And, someone told me that they were going to give me this, and I waited till the last minute, and I was going to get it on sale, and then I missed the sale because they told me that I should rely on them, and now I don't have, because of that, I have to go back to the store, and it's last minute, and I'm paying triple the price. So, these are all like the Dvar Yom B'Yomai.
You have to ultimately come back to what the Dayan said, that sometimes Hashem wants you to lose money.
Right. It's exactly what the Dayan says. Right. The Hashkafa point of view is that sometimes the din is on you to lose the money. It's not the din on him to pay you. So, al kopanim, la halacha, we're going to have to figure out how do we go. And if the halacha is like the shach, that it's a knas, how do you know when to say knas, when not to? That's the shaila. It's Hashem, over the next week or two, we will hopefully get some clarity. Next week, the slichus is Motzei Shabbos, so Ilm's tired usually by Sunday, but we'll try to have a shir anyway.
Extra coffee.
What?
Extra coffee.
Extra coffee. And the next Sunday is some Gedalia. It's a little rough day. We'll try to pull it off, but we'll see what happens. After 3-day Yom Tov, what?
Who's hungry in the morning?
What?
You're so...
No, it's just after 3-day Yom Tov for Shana. You're fine. Anyway, Moshe say we have to have a share. We'll have a share. Mr. Shem. Okay.
After 3-day Yom Tov, if you want to get out of the house, go with a share.
Next week we're on, Mr. Shem. We have to finish up a little bit what we can in this again. Okay.
Your phone that was on your desk was ringing like crazy. I saw it was